Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। अथ योगानुशासनम्। योगश्चित्तवृत्तिनिरोधः। तदा द्रष्टुः स्वरूपे अवस्थानम्। वृत्तिसारूप्यम् इतरत्र। वृत्तयः पञ्चतयः। क्लिष्टा अक्लिष्टाः। प्रमाण विपर्यय विकल्प निद्रा स्मृतयः। प्रत्यक्ष अनुमान आगमाः प्रमाणानि। विपर्ययो मिथ्या ज्ञानम् अतद्रूप प्रतिष्ठम्। शब्द ज्ञानानुपाति वस्तु शून्यो विकल्पः। अभाव प्रत्यय आलम्बना वृत्तिः निद्रा। Now we come to the last is the smriti. Vrittaya panchatayyaha klishta aklishta cha. There are 5 types of vrittis and can be classified under 2, klishta and aklishta. Klishta vrittis are those which are born out of the panchakleshas, avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, and they also create the samskara on the mind. They are called as klishta vritti. Aklishta vrittis are those which are born out of study, understanding, discrimination, etc. And these aklishta vrittis are able to reduce and ultimately erase the impact of these klishta vrittis. Thereafter, we were told which are the other vrittis then. So, pramana, then viparjaya, vikalpa. Now we are coming nidra, and the last one is smriti. Now what is the smriti? अनुभूत विषय असंप्रमोषः स्मृतिः। अनुभूत विषय असंप्रमोष. असंप्रमोष, remembering, not forgetting. So अनुभूत प्रमाणादिभिः ज्ञातः यो विषयः घटादिः तस्य असंप्रमोषः anapannavah avikala upasthitihi. Whatever is known to us through the pramana jnanam, that is not erased. Suppose we know ghatadi, ghat, pata, etc. So, this particular object knowledge which is gained through the pramana, it is maintained in the chitta, and that is called as the smriti. So, on this, Bhagwan Vedavyasa's commentary is also good. Kim pratyesya chittam smarati ahos vidvishesya iti. Now here a lot of arguments and discussions are taken, and they are very beautiful. The question is, what is remembered? The experience about the object or the object. Two things. Smriti is about the experience of the object or of the object. And here they tell that the experience has two components. One is the object, Vishaya, and second is the knowledge of that object, Anubhava, experience. So every thought has these two aspects. One is Anubhavatmakam and second is that the particular object is contained. Therefore, ग्राह्योपरक्तः प्रत्ययोः ग्राह्य ग्रहणयोः उभयाकार निर्भासः तथा जातीयकं संस्कारम आरभ्यते. So there are two aspects, ubhayakarah, the object and the experience of the object. Now, after this is known, then out of these two, the aspect which is and the same vritti then propagates. It creates the next type of thoughts or the vrittis. Now, out of these two aspects, one is the grahya vishayaha ghatadi, and second thing is grahanatmaka anubhava, experience of that. So these are two amsha, two aspects in the same vritti. And therefore, this Vishaya and the Anubhava, these two things are contained in the vritti. Now, out of these two, which is the one which is to be taken as the smriti or the memory? Whether the Anubhava or the object. So, ultimately, a lot of discussions is given, and ultimately we come to know that this smriti has got, this vritti has got two aspects. One is the anubhuti and second is object. So the anubhuti amsha is not considered as the smriti. But the vishaya amsha, the object which is contained, that is considered as the smriti. Therefore, because in that object the anubhava is already contained. Therefore, Vishaya Anubhava is the Smriti and not, Vishaya is the Smriti and not the Vishaya Anubhava. Now, these are of two types. The Smriti is, Smriti Janayati, Tatra Grahanakara Purvika Buddhi, Grahyakara Purvika Smriti. So, Grahanakara Purva Buddhi. The experience gained out of contact with the object is called as the experience, the buddhi, knowledge. And graha kara purva smriti. And the object contained is called as the smriti in the thought. Sacha dvai, bhavita smartavyacha, abhavita smartavyacha. And the smriti is of two types. One is bhavita and second is abhavita. Bhavita means what? Imagined. So, one goes on imagining. So, all that which is in the dream, in the daydream, etc., this is called as a bhavita smriti. And second is, therefore, swapne bhavita smartavya and jagrat samaye tu abhavita smartavya iti. And during the waking, the smriti is not of the imaginary thing, but we have seen the persons or the objects directly. So when I have seen somebody or something and then that object or that person I remember, it is a abhavita smriti. And when I have not seen anything, what is the dream, some funny thing goes on happening, and that is called as the bhavita smriti. Therefore, and these smritis are born out of different kinds of anubhav also, and out of all these anubhavas or the experiences also the smriti can be created. And therefore, these pramana, viparya, vikalpa, nidra, all these things also create the smriti or the memory. Now, after having told, there are many more things in that. The main idea is Yogaha chitta vritti nirodha. Don't miss the whole thought process. When we go here and there, again and again go how the thought is developing. Yogaha chitta vritti nirodha. So, chitta vrittis are to be suspended, arrested. Now the second question comes, which are those vrittaya panchataya? So which are those? They are named. And what is the purpose of telling all these vrittis? There are five kinds, because they are to be arrested. That is the purpose. So once the purpose is clear, then the next topic naturally will come. So, yogaha chitta vritti nirodha. So what is the chitta vritti? That is told. Now nirodha, see how every word is taken. So first yoga was told. What is the yoga? Asampradnyata, sampradnyata. Then chitta vritti nirodha. What is the chitta vrittis? That was told. Everything explained in detail. Now chitta vritti nirodha. Now arresting the chitta vrittis. Now how do we do that? This is the third topic from that first sutra about the yoga. Yogaha chitta vritti nirodha. Now this nirodha of the chitta vritti is taken in the 12th sutra. So all these vrittis that we have learned, pramana, viparya, vikalpa, nidra and smriti, what is meant is all these vrittis we should be able to recognize, and having recognized, we have to arrest them. Nirodha. They are to be completely arrested. And for that purpose, we are studying this. Now the next topic comes, how do we stop this vrittis formation? 12th sutra, abhyasa vairagyabhyam tannirodha. By the practice of abhyasa and the following of vairagya, these vrittis can be arrested. Tannirodha. The nirodh can be attained only by these two methods, abhyasa vairagya. Now here Bhagavan Vedavyasa gives a very beautiful description of the chitta. Chitta nadi nama ubhayataha vahini. And vahati kalyanaya vahati papaya cha. सात यातु कैवल्य प्राग भारा विवेक विषय निम्ना सा कल्याणवहा. संसार प्राग भारा अविवेक विषय निम्ना पापवहा. तत्र वैराग्येण विषय स्रोतः खिलीक्रियते विवेक दर्शनाभ्यासेन विवेक स्रोतः उद्घाटयते इति उभयधीः उभय अधीनः चित्तवृत्ति निरोधः. This is what is called as the chitta vritti nirodha. Now chitta vritti is compared with the river. So, and this chitta nadi is ubhaya vahini, ubhayataha vahini. Normally the river flows in one direction, but it is flowing in both the direction. Like the rivers are born on the top of the mountains, and from there they flow. Now one part of that river gets bifurcated because of some stone or rock or some hillock, and it goes in to the west and becomes the Sindhu river. And the other part goes to the right and may be called as by different names and become Brahmaputra. So one is going to the west and one is going to the east. So two directions, the same river, originally is the same. Now our Chitta Nadi has also these two options. So which are those two? Vahati kalyanaya, vahati papaya cha. Our own mind or the Chitta can help us for being good to us, or the same Chitta Nadi can become a problem for us. See, uddhared atmanatmanam natmano avasadet atmaiva atmano bandhu atmaiva ripuratmanah. When the Chitta Nadi is vahati kalyanaya and papaya, when it flows for the kalyana, for our good and for our destruction. Therefore, which is that flow which will help us So yatu kaivalya prag bhara viveka vishaya nimna sa kalyanavaha. Now that nadi, that thought process, which is kaivalya prag bharaha, is leading toward the kaivalya. And what is that which will take us to kaivalya, the liberation, is the viveka vishaya nimna. So this chitta nadi is flowing, or the thought process is directed towards discovery of discrimination, and then following the path of discrimination and not leading a life of dull-wittedness. So when aklishta vrittayaha become prominent in our chitta, then we are doing good to us. And when the klishta vrittayaha are prominent in our mind, then we are harming our own self. So is it not? Just watch our own whole life. We alone think that this should be done, we do that and regret. Then we alone think, no, now last time I have suffered, now I will not go that path, I will follow the other path. So in this manner, it is our thought process alone which is taking us nearer to the truth or away from the truth. Therefore, kaivalya prag bhara yatu viveka vishaya nimna sa kalyanavaha. That is for our good. And samsara prag bhara aviveka vishaya nimna. And that thought process or the thinking attitude which is taking us to samsara. Now these two definitions which I told you, kaivalya or liberation or the reality means the absolute. Samsara or birth and death, etc., relativity. So we are talking only in these terms only. So that which will lead us to the absolute is kalyanavaha, and that which will lead us to the relative is the papavaha. So in this manner the same chitta has two aspects. Now tatra, out of these two, vairagyena vishayastrotaha khilikriyate. So by the practice of vairagya, vishayasrotaha, the attachment, attraction towards the series of worldly objects is weakened. Khilikriyate, weakened. So by vairagya. And viveka darshanabhyasena viveka strotaha udghatayate. And then by the viveka, by the discrimination between what is real, what is not real. And thereafter holding on to the real and discarding the unreal. So there are two aspects. One is development of the commitment to walk the spiritual path by discarding the relative existence, and second is by discovery of the absolute through the process of inquiry, discrimination, study, contemplation, meditation, asampradnyat samadhi and sampradnyat samadhi. So these are the two. Therefore, viveka darshanabhyasena viveka struta udghadayate iti ubhayadhina chitta vritti nirodha. And thus chitta vritti can be arrested and depends on these two things. Both of them, ubhayadhinaha. So, we have to have both viveka and the vairagya. Therefore here, abhyasa vairagya abhyam tan nirodha, this is also said by Bhagwan Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. When Arjuna says that, oh, it is very difficult, how can I? Bhagwan says, don't cry first of all. Why it is difficult? It is not difficult. Abhyasa vairagya abhyam tan nirodha, the same sutra is said in Bhagavad Gita, abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena gruyate. It is possible. So, this abhyasa vairagya is said in our Vedanta Shastra as like what? First, viveka. Vedanta Shastra is vichara pradhan, therefore viveka first. And after you practice viveka sincerely, what will happen? For example, I have the discrimination. If I take this kind of food, it is harmful for my existence. I know this. Others are eating, yes, others can eat that. It is not harmful for them. As regards I am concerned, it is harmful for me. So, when I have discovered this through discrimination analysis, then naturally that which is not conducive for my existence, towards that there will be automatic dispassion. Therefore, the maturity of the viveka takes us to the dispassion, the vairagya. And when we are giving up things, vairagya is practiced under the influence of the whims and fancy. Many times, the seekers, they get influenced by something suddenly, and we'll do this, we'll do that. And there is no foundation in that influence. Then as influence goes away, again they go back to the same rut. Because there is no discrimination. That is why initially, when we come in contact with the Mahatmas, we feel, oh, what a lovely life, that is so true. We get influenced. And then we want to follow. But again, inside there is no discrimination developed. And when there is lack of discrimination, then this vairagya, this commitment becomes weak. And therefore, in our Vedanta, viveka is the foundation and vairagya is the fructification. So when the viveka, discrimination is firm, dispassion is natural. Now one more thing. That dispassion which is supported by viveka or the discrimination, that alone can stand to the test of time. See? And that discrimination which is not supported by, or that dispassion which is not supported by the discrimination, that dispassion comes as an attack and disappears as an attack. The best example I can think of, one of my friend came to me with his friend, and he told his friend, you wanted to ask something, Swamiji, ask. So that friend asked, Swamiji, I am unable to stop smoking, I don't know what I should do. So his friend said, what is great about it? Swamiji is very weakling. I have stopped smoking 10 times. Now what he means? He is every time has given up smoking. But there was no support of discrimination. Discrimination was perverted. See, when I can stop any time, so why should I stop now? This is how the wrong discrimination will tie us down to the worldly objects. And that is why viveka vairagyabhyam tannirodha. Now, what is the meaning of abhyasa vairagyabhyam tannirodha? Now, what is the meaning of abhyasa? This is now said in the 13th sutra. Tatra sthitau yatnaha abhyasaha. Tatra, in its original condition, sthitau, for remaining its original condition, yatnaha, effort, is called as abhyasa. So, chittasya avrittikasya pravaha prashantavahita sthitihi. Sthiti means what? Tatra sthitau. Sthitau, that sthiti, sthitau is the prayojan, purpose. What for abhyas is done? So, this is the purpose. The purpose is chittasya avrittikasya prashanta vahita sthiti. So here we should not mistake that the chitta is free from all the sattvic, rajasic and tamasic vrittis. No. It is only the rajasic and the tamasic vrittis are erased and the chitta is exclusively prashanta. Therefore prashanta vahita. So it is exclusively sattvic. So, rajas tamas rahita vrittaya. In this condition, prashanta vahita sthitihi tadartham prayatnaha. So first was the purpose of this abhyasa is this, to bring the chitta to the state where rajas and tamas are no more influencing. So the mind or the chitta is naturally sattvic. Sattvic means prasanna. When the chitta is prasanna, then the impact of the rajas disturbances or the tamoguna, confusion, doubt, indecisiveness, laziness, lack of inspiration, all these things will disappear. That is why Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita, prasanna chetaso, that prasanna chetaso is this condition. Prasanna chetaso yashu buddhi pari avadishtate. When the mind has become prasanna chetas means when it has reached the ekagra bhumika of the chitta, then alone first the sampradnyat samadhi will take place, and thereafter even the sattvic vritti disappears, and then shuddha vritti rahita chitta is chaitanya, then tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. Therefore sampradnyat samadhi is the means for attainment of the asampradnyat samadhi. And asampradnyat samadhi, when it is practiced for a period of time, then it becomes asampradnyata yoga, and tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam, then the seeker merges in the pure consciousness, and that is what is called as the kaivalya prapti. That is what is called as the realization of the absolute. So, chittasya avrittikasya prashanta vayada sthiti. Second, prayatnaha. So, tadartha prayatnaha viryam utsahaha. Now, what is the meaning of prayatnaha or yatnaha? See, stityartha yo yatnaha so abhyasaha. Sthiti prashanta vahita. Harsha shokadi ranga taranga rahita ya ekagravatti dhara. See, the chitta has become ekagra. No disturbances. So, abhyasa is done for attainment of ekagrata of the mind. Now see, one by one things are getting unfolded very beautifully. So first what we have to understand, as long as our mind is in the kshipta, moodha or the vikshipta bhumika, we have to go to the cow buyer and do the Gomata ki seva. Very important. Therefore, these are to be removed. Kshipta, unsteady, constantly, this, that, there is no control. Because the commitment, the foundation is weak. The second thing is moodhatva. There is no inspired participation in the spiritual life. Dullness, tamoguna overpowers. Third is vikshipta, obsession. When these three things take place, then such a chitta is not fit for yoga. You may do samadhi, but not yoga. Therefore, tatra sthitau yatnaha, to attain this ekagra bhumi, that yatna is called as abhyasa. And what happens in that condition? Vimala satvika vritti vahita ekagrata sthiti tadartham iti. So, Vimala, that which is free from the mala of the rajas tamas, and therefore satvika vritti vahita sthiti. Therefore, the mind is predominantly satvik, and for that prayatna is called yatnaha. Therefore, sthitau is the reason, prayojan for what we are doing. Then yatnaha is the nature of this abhyasa, and together it means this is what abhyasa means. So abhyasa is indicated by these two things. The purpose of the abhyasa is to attain the ekagrata of the chitta, and for that whatever efforts are required, they are put. Now what is the meaning of the efforts? Prayatnaha. So yatnaha means what? Prayatna viryam utsaha. So virya utsaha, these two things are there. Virya means what? Virya means inner strength. He who doesn't have inner strength cannot continue the practice of yoga abhyas. He who is a weakling, both physically, mentally, psychologically, intellectually, and such a creeper can never walk the path of yoga. Therefore, it is viryam. Second thing, it is not only the absence of the negative, but utsaha. One is inspired to lead this spiritual life. So that is called as yatnaha. So three things now. One is, goal is very clear that we have to attain chitta ekagriyam, single pointedness of the chitta. Second thing, this will not happen accidentally. We have to put forward efforts. Tatra chito yatnaha abhyasa. Now what is the meaning of effort? Effort means two things. One, you have to have the inner strength, atma bala. And second thing, we have to be inspired. All these things put together is called as viryam utsaha. Then tad sampipadishayam tad sadhananam anushtanam abhyasaha. Another last thing in the Vyasa Bhashya. So, tat sampipadishaya, for with a desire to attain this. Sampadana is to attain. So, with a desire to attain this, tat sadhana anushtanam, and therefore one has to lead a life of anusthana. Now see, anusthana means what? See, this is one very important aspect. This time you will not understand, but when you will go on your own, then you will understand how this mind plays tricks. Now here you are tied down with a schedule, and I am not sitting on your head all the time, and if you are following it is very good. If you are not following, get destroyed. Who cares? One has to walk atmaiva atmano bandhu atmaiva ripuratmana. And here what is the beauty? The beauty is we are leading our life as anushthan. So the first aspect of the anushthan is the time scheduling. It's not that sometime I feel like, sometime I don't feel like. That means you are becoming the victim of the moodha. No. Sometimes the mind is so agitated, like that. Then the mind is kshipta. Sometimes the mind is very vikshipta, obsessed with something. So we have to get out of this. For that, discipline is required. That is why, those persons we have seen, those who are neither busy in regular conducting satsang throughout life, nor they have taken up some physical activity in the world, but they are simply sitting under the disguise of the vairagya. Slowly, that vairagya makes them lazy. And then laziness is considered as the glory. And then they imagine, see those great Mahatmas, they used to lie down anywhere. Do you know, Shirdi Sai Baba has never brushed even once. Oh, why should I brush? And he was leading the life just like that. So that is not the way. And that is why Bhagavan says here, Tat sampadishaya, tat sadhana anushtanam. So we have to lead our life anushthan. Anushthan means what? Doing something with commitment is called as anushthan. And anushthan is always time bound. Like you must have seen, the other day somebody phoned me. Swamiji, I will be starting this Shirdi Sai Baba's Pothi Parayan, please bless me. I understand you have just landed, so I just request your blessing. They said, okay, Amma, continue. He said, Swamiji, why I have phoned you is because you only gave me this Pothi in my hand, and that has really changed my whole life. Earlier, that lady was a great Vedantic student. used to give lectures on Upanishad, give lectures on Bhagavad Gita. And one day, suddenly what happened, God knows, she has entered in depression. Lost interest in everything. Became so dull-witted, forgetting everything. And then her daughter came and, Swamiji, we don't know, we are feeling so bad for mother. She was such a dynamic person throughout her life. What happened to her? I said, you call me for food, I will tell her. So I went to her house. And then we were sitting together separately in a room, and I asked her, I said, Amma, I will ask you something. For a change, tell me the truth. What is that? You have been studying Vedanta and all that thing. Do you really feel Krutakrutyata? Do you really feel fulfillment? That I have lived my life, now I am completely content inside. Atmanneva atmana santushtaha. Have you attained that? If you attain that, congratulations. Continue. If you have not attained that, then you have gone wrong somewhere. When I said like this to her, she started crying. Elderly lady, 80 years. Started crying. Swamiji, you have touched a very sensitive point of my personality. I said, yes. Yes, I agree with you. This is what exactly is happening. Now I don't know how to come out of it. I said, if you don't ask questions and just follow strictly what I say, see the difference. Then I had this pothi, I said, now you read this. Every day one chapter, every day one chapter. No day goes without you reading this. And then she started. Now what has happened? This is called as Anushthan. No, Swamiji has told, I have to read every day one chapter, I will read. May what happened? And as a result, slowly, with that disciplining and dedication and shraddha and commitment she started reading. Then all the events and the wisdom and the instruction given by the great master to his devotees slowly started getting in her own system. And now after about 4 or 5 years, not more than 10, 12 years now she is able to conduct a regular 1 month Satra in one of the very important places. She goes there, hundreds of people come together. She conducts, that Samuhik Parayan. All of them sit with their Sai Baba's pothi. And then she goes on talking. And now she has changed so much. She says, Swamiji, I don't know how to thank you. You have really given me the second birth. What is the second birth? Tat sadhana anushtanam abhyasaha. This is the anushtan. And this anushtan is the one which I am insisting. And I am sure you are doing all that. Therefore, we must not give any freedom to our mind. You may trust anybody in this world. Never trust the mind. Keep it under strict vigilance and discipline. Otherwise, that mind will be taken away for a ride. The mind will take us for a ride. Therefore, tat sampipadishaya tat sadhanam anushtanam abhyasaha. Therefore, after having said this, next come. This abhyasa has to be practiced not for a day or two. 1 day meditation, 1 year sleep, again 1st of January meditation, and remaining 365 days sleep. Therefore, how this abhyasa is to be done, this is now said in the 14th sutra. Satu dirgha kala nairantarya satkara sevito druda bhumihi. Satu means what? Abhyasaha. See how each sutra is connected with the next one. Abhyasaha having told tatra sthitau yatnaha abhyasaha. Now this abhyasa satu dirghakala sevitaha, nirantara sevitaha and satkara sevitaha. Three things. A means up to. See, the word is dirghakala sevitaha, nirantara sevitaha and satkara sevitaha. Like amarana, uposhanam. So, I shall abstain from food till I die. So, dirghakala sevitaha means what? Dirghakalena dirghakala paryantam va asevitaha, anushtitaha, sampaditaha. So it is to be continued for a long period of time. Not only for 1 week or 15 days or 7 days. No. It is, therefore remember one statement I was telling you again and again. Spiritual life is a full-time preoccupation. It is not a part-time job. It is full-time. Therefore, our sitting, our walking, our talking, our eating, our interacting with the world, everything is a spiritual practice. So, dirghakala asevitaha. Then, dirghakala paryantam. Then, nirantara asevitaha. Nirantara sevita. Nirantara means what? Nairantaryena. Nairantaryena means what? There is no antara. Suppose we have decided we will have the meditation class in the morning at 6 o'clock. And then we will have that for 1 week. And then now I think you understood we did not do that. No. It is throughout life. This is what happens when people come here for the camps. So all the 10, 15 days, 12 days, they are fully, in that. And after they go back, again back to square one. Because Nairantarya is not there. Antara is breach. Nirantara is without breach. So there is not a single day that passes without our spiritual practice, abhyasa, meditation. So for a long period of time, regularly, and pratyaham pratikshanam asevitaha asushuktehe ityartaha. Asushuktehe means up to sleep. Till you go to sleep, you have to be extremely aware that we are working on these two aspects, vairagya and abhyasa. And what is the abhyasa? Yatnaha. You are not giving up slow, easily. And the third is satkarena asevitaha. Satkaraha adaratishayaha tena saha. So with all respect and reverence for our spiritual practice. This is one very important thing. Many of us do not understand that whenever we do something with great reverence and respect, our mind starts cooperating very easily. Take for example, when we go to the temple, let us say Guruvayur temple. So, whenever I had gone there, I always enjoyed one peculiar thing. Nobody is allowed to go inside the sanctum of the Lord. And there are not one or two, but there are thousands and thousands people, like a huge crowd. And they are all standing there in the queue and waiting. And when they are waiting, they are not complaining. They should do this thing, they should do that thing. Sometime when the line is going on, then the time comes. Now for half an hour, 1 hour, that door will remain closed because now the puja is to be done or some naivedya is there. And hundreds and thousands of people are just waiting. See how this can come? Because they have got adara atishaya. Similarly, when we are practicing our dhyana-abhyas, this should be kept in mind very much. That when we are sitting for meditation, now it is the most auspicious part of our daily living. And that is why when we fix a place, a time, an asana, an altar, and our own mala, and with that, when slowly your mind starts gathering, and with all respect and reverence, when you start, automatically the mind is able to attain chitta ekagrata. This is how, when you go to some places, like you had come to where Malsar. Now in that Malsar you have seen when we used to go in front of our Madhav Dasji Maharaja's Samadhi. See? How immediately the mind becomes quiet. And if we are not accustomed to quietness, we feel fear, I think it is enough, we should go from here. We can't sit there for long. Because ekagrata is never experienced. So, satkarena asevitaha means what? What is the meaning of satkarena asevita? Tapasa, tapasya, dvandvadi, sahana purvakaha. Tapasya is what? Dvandvadi, sahana purvaka. We have to have the ability to endure all the difficulties of life. See, one day I told you about our, I don't know his name, this person who is working in the other kitchen, and he every time, morning time, gives me one flower, does namaskar. Nobody has seen him frustrated, depressed, dejected. Because every morning, when it is raining or anything cold, at 3:30 he is out of his bed, finishes his bath and all that, and then he goes, and he and our Sharmaji, in the morning 4 o'clock, they read a few Jaupai of this Ramcharitmanas, and then both of them sit together in Bhajan Kirtan. So lost in that. Now see, who are they? Totally different. One is a doctorate in Sanskrit, the other is absolutely illiterate. But both of them, you see, get lost in that. And because of adara, because of that reverence, their whole life is cheerful and happy. This is what is important, That is why those people who do not have an altar of reverence in their life, they can never progress on a spiritual path. Therefore, dvandvadi sahana purvakaha. So, ability to go through the difficulties of life. Then brahmacharyena, virya raksha purvaka. Brahmacharya is a technique by which we conserve our energy. And this energy has to be conserved. Without that, we will never be able to continue for long. And therefore, dissipation of energy through wrong habits and practices must be curtailed. And vidyaya. So, dvandva sahana purvaka tapasa at the level of the body. Brahmacharya at the level of the physiology, inner production of strength. And vidyaya by control of the unwanted thoughts. How we control our unwanted thoughts? Shastra jnana purvaka. Now see, if you are listening to what I am talking, so your mind is engaged into this Shastra jnana. Now during this time, the worries about the whole world, some old insults, some wounds somewhere in the past, some frustration, some imagination, everything is arrested. If we are studying, therefore, Vidya, study of scriptures, is one of the methods by which we erase the unwanted thought eruptions from our mind. And this is how our mind can attain chitta ekagrata. Therefore, either we study If possible, intense study. And if that is, we are tired of that, never mind. Then take the lighter thing. Take the life histories of the saints and sages. And when we feel that is also not, mind is not cooperating, never mind. Then take up singing bhajans, stotras, or humming the names. And if that also is not possible, then take the physical work. Take out all the walls, wash them and fix them. In this manner, give the mind a discipline. So, Vidya Shastra Jnana Purga Shraddhaya cha, and one has to have Shraddha. Shraddha is what? A full acceptance without any doubt that is yoga abhyasa is an unavoidable aspect of our spiritual practice. Those who are the so-called Vedantis, they have got a very wrong notion about yoga abhyas. Because it is not their fault, because yoga is normally popularized only through the asanas or the pranayama. And therefore they think, but that is not all, these are only the limbs. So, this is one thing. The second thing is, those who are following the path of karma, they be like, what is that, simply sitting there, these yogis are good for nothing, we should work for the society. Therefore, they cannot have adara, respect. Therefore, they are lacking shraddha. And the third one are the devotees. Oh, why should we worry about these things? Mere to Giridhara Gopala. See, we have to have this clear understanding that self-discipline is essential. So, for controlling our interaction with the outer world, Karma Yoga. For controlling our inner world is the Ashtanga Yoga. For controlling our attitude is the devotion, Bhakti Yoga. And for controlling our wrong notions is the Jnana Yoga. Unless this is clearly practiced, we will never be able to progress. Therefore, Shraddhaya cha and Tapasa Brahmacharya Shraddha Jnana Purvakam. In this manner, it becomes Satkara Sevitaha. So, Yadeva Vidya Karoti Shraddhaya Upanishada Teneva Viryavattaram Bhavati iti. Now, tada one more word, Druda Bhumihi. So, Satu Dirghakara Nairantarya Satkara Sevito Druda Bhumihi. Now, what is the meaning of Druda Bhumihi? Druda Bhumir Bhavati Susthiraha Sudrudaha Bhavati. And with Drageva Anabhibhuta Vishayaha. Then he is that such a mind which has become more and more single-pointed, more and more calm, ekagra chitta bhumi, then it will be very less susceptible to the disturbances from outside. See? Normally what happens, those who are disturbed-minded people, they can't focus their mind even for 1 second. You can just observe, when we go to the various places, satsang is going on, and people are organized with all sincerity, and there are different kinds of people in the whole group. All are not too deeply involved in spirituality. Some come to see you, some comes to show you, some comes because somebody is pulled. So there is variety of people who come. And that time, suppose in that whole crowd, somebody opens the door and comes. Everybody has to look this. Now I have noted he has come. Was it required? But the mind is never trained to remain focused to the same. It gets disturbed, it reacts by default. See? Observe this. When two people are talking, and if there is a person who has been the head of the house, or who has been heading something, or who has been the decision maker, and if two people are talking, if that fellow comes, immediately, kya? What is that? About whom you are talking? Okay, whose marriage? He was not required to know. But suddenly the mind is unsteady. This is what it is said. Druda bhumir bhavati. So, is dragityeva anadibhuta vishayaha. And therefore, this chitta ekagrata becomes firm and firm. Abhyasam krutva uparmecha kala kramadi abhivavaha bhavati va iti pradipadeshun dragityeva iti uktam. Because we cannot imagine that when you are practicing chitta ekagrata, the mind should never get disturbed. It will never happen. It will get disturbed. But it should not become suddenly. Every moment getting disturbed is no good. If the mind will not get disturbed, then you are entering directly the asampradnyat yoga. Because the mind can get disturbed, you can practice the sampradnyat samadhi with the time schedule. That you will sit for meditation for 1 hour, and after 1 hour, without looking into the watch, you switch off. That thing happens only because this faculty is kept alive. That the mind is allowed to give up the chitta ekagrata with the freedom. So, this is how the control over mind has to be attained. Normally what happens, we imagine that, when I was, giving lecture, I just forgot, how much time it has gone, and it became 2-3 hours, and all the people were sleeping. I was thinking, why they are sleeping? That means the speaker was not alert. So if we have decided 1 hour, it must be over in 1 hour. If we decided 1.5 hours, it must be over that way. Then alone our chitta is under our control. So this is what is said here. Abhyasam krutva uparamecha kalakrama kalakramat abhibhavaha bhavati. So when the time is over, again the mind can be again going to the next bhumikas. Now here Vairagya is explained from the 15th sutra onwards. Drushtanushravika vishaya vitrushnasya vashikara sanjna vairagyam. Vairagya is what? Now this is spoken here as apara vairagya, because in the next sutra he will be mentioning the para vairagya. Therefore this is apara vairagya. It is something like, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita chapter 5. What he says? Neyasya nitya sannyasi yona dveshtina kangshati. Know him to be the nitya sannyasi who does not have likes and dislikes. Yona dveshtina kangshati. Neither he hates nor he gets expects anything. Means what? There are anitya sannyasi also. He is a nitya sannyasi who doesn't get influenced by the desires and the frustration, anger, etc. And if somebody is a sannyasi and he is having too much of raga dvesha all the time, then what is he? He is a nitya sannyasi. Refer Bhagavad Gita. Here also. In the 16th sutra, we are discussing the para vairagya. Therefore, 15 has to be apara vairagya. This is how it is concluded. Now, what is this? Drushta anushravika vishaya vitrushnasya vashikara sanya vairagyam. Drushta anushravikascha iti drushta anushravikaha tad vividha vishaya iti. Drushta anushravika vishayateshi vitrushnasya drushta anushravika vitrushnasya chittasya. Drushta vishayaha. So, what is the meaning of drushta? Drushta means what is seen, the objects. That means that which is gained through the pramana vritti, that is the pratyaksha pramana, that is called as the drushta. So, what is that drushta vishaya? Stri Annapanam Aishwaryam iti Drishti Vishaye. So, these are the four. Stri Anna Pana Aishwarya. So, the enjoyments of company, enjoyment of the worldly object, Shabda Sparcha Rupa Rasa Gandha, then enjoyments of the intoxicants, and Aishwarya, enjoyments for the affluence. When one is no more attracted by these four, he has practiced or he is practicing apara vairagya. So, this is one. Then second thing, Drushta, Anushravika. Now, what is the meaning of Anushravika? Swarga Vaideha Prakriti Layatva Praptau Anushravika Vishaye Vistrishnasya. Anushravika is what is heard. What we have heard? We have heard about the heavens. So, no more attraction for the heavenly desires. Anushravika, Swarga. Then Vaideha. Then the Videhata. That one can attain Videha Mukti by this practice, and therefore extremely attached to only that kind of samadhi. No, not that even. Because, this is how it happens. Many people have this thing. One person asked me, Swamiji, how many hours you sit for meditation per day? I said, not many, a few. But even then, just casually I am asking, don't mind, if you don't reply, don't reply. How many hours? I said, maybe about, say, 24 hours. 24 hours you are in meditation? I said, yes. Now he gets frustrated. No, how it is possible? I have seen you going to the talks here and there and talking to people and all that. I said, that depends what you have understood about meditation. See? Your understanding of meditation, I don't know what it is. If it is sitting in a particular posture till there is a backache, then that meditation I don't practice. Therefore, Vaideha, giving up the body identification, oh, what a beautiful thing it will be, and all the time thinking about that Videhatva, or Prakriti Layatva, when our senses, faculties are absorbed in the Prakriti, you are no more attracted by anything, all the Prakriti is withdrawn. Prakriti Layatva. Praptau Anushravika Vishaye. So, about this, when we hear about it, we get more attracted and attached towards that and not the Paramatma. This is what will be told later. Anushravika Vishaya is divided further. One is the enjoyments in the other world. Second is the imagination of the liberation, as if throwing the body away is the liberation. And the third is the various kinds of siddhis that we develop. So, Anushravika Vishaye Vairagyam Vitrishnasya. So, Divya Adivya Vishaya Samprayogepi Chittasya Vishaya Dosha Darshinaha. So, Divya Adivya Vishaya Samprayogepi. So, although one has attained all the various Divya Adivya Vishaya Samprayoga, for them also Vishaya Dosha Darshinaha, towards them also there is the shortcoming discovered. And therefore, prasankhana balad, anabhogatmika, and with this prasankhana, with the strength of these, what is called in Vedanta Shastra as pratipaksha bhavana, by looking at the various achievements both in the material world and in the sadhana marga as only the obstacles and they are not the assets. And in this manner, prasankhana balad, anabhogatmika. Therefore, one is no more getting attracted and enjoys those powers. And heyopadeya shunya. That doesn't mean that one has got any disliking for anything in this world. So, when we don't like something, it is not vairagya, it is hatred. So, vairagya is what? Heya upadeya shunya. One has gone beyond raga and the dvesha both. So, heya to give up, upadeya to get, shunya, where this attitude of leaving something or holding on to something, everything is gone. Now, vashikara sanjna vairagyam. This kind of thing is called as vairagya. Therefore, this is the apara vairagya. So, vashikara sanjna itself is called as the apara vairagya. Now here, the opinions of the different Mahatmas is given that tathacha raga dvesha shunya vishaya sakshatkarasya yogyata vashikara sajna khyam vairagyamiti paryavasitam. When all our good achievements or the failures in the world are no more able to influence the mind even 1%, then we have attained this vashikara sanya apara vairagya. In other words, sanga dosha rahita ya apeksha buddhi vashikara sanya. Sanga dosha rahita. The presence or the absence of the things no more disturb us. That is called as apara vairagya. Or ya vashikara sanya mamaite vashya naham etesham vashya iti yoyam vimarshaha tad vairagya muchyate. Or all these things are controlled by me, I am not controlled by them. This understanding experience is called as the apara vairagya. Or raga dvesha shunya vashikara sanya ya vitrushna sa vairagyam aparam iti sheshaha uttara sutre tad paramiti vachanat asya aparatvam. Vartikar says raga dvesha shunya vashikara sanya ya vitrishna. So that where there is going beyond the raga dvesha, that is called as the apara vairagya. And this is called as apara because Uttara Sutra in the following sutra, 16th sutra, the Patanjali Maharshi will be talking about the para vairagya. Therefore, this is called as the apara vairagya. And here, this apara vairagya is attained through the 4 stages. So, what are those 4 stages? Yatamana sajna, and then is the Vyatireka Sanjna, then Ekendriya Sanjna, and Vashikara Sanjna. So through these 4 stages the seeker has to go. So Jatamana Sanjna, Vyatireka Sanjna, Ekendriya Sanjna, Vashikara Sanjna Jiti, Chatasraha Sanjna Ityagamina. Now these are the 4. Now Ragadayaha Khalu Kashaya Chitta Vartinaha Taihi Indriyani Yatha Swam Visheshu Pravartante Tanma Pravartitesh Tad Indriyani Tat Tad Visheshu Iti Tat Paripachanaya Arambaha Prayatnaha Sa Jatamana Sanjna. Now the first step to attain this apara vairagya and the Vashikara Sanjna. What is the first stage? First stage is that actually, these likes and dislikes are really responsible for propelling our senses into the respective field, and therefore, tan maham pravartishet indriyani. Let my senses, etc., be not victimized by the likes and dislikes, and therefore, tat paripachanaya arambaha. And therefore, let me now practice from now onward. That whatever comes in the plate, I will eat, whether I like or I don't like. See? This practice, you have to begin somewhere. And this beginning is called the first step in the apara vairagya. Now the second thing, sa yatamana sanya. Now, tadarambhe sati kechit kashayaha pakva pachante cha kechit tatra paksha माणेभ्यः पक्वानां व्यतिरेकेण अवधारणं व्यतिरेक संज्ञा. Now when we start, then as a result of this beginning of our Vairagya practice, some of the Kashayam is the shortcomings, Raga Dvesha, likes and dislikes. Some of them they become mature and some of them they are yet to mature. And therefore those which are become mature, meaning about which we have understood clearly that it is only foolishness to get influenced by these, so we drop them. But some of them are still holding on to. So this is called as the second Vyatireka Sanjna. So partially we are able to give up our attachment to the worldly things and partially we are not. This is the second stage in the upper Vairagya. Now the third one is Vyatireka Sanjna, then Indriya Pravartana Asamarthataya Pakvanam Autsukya Matrena Manasi Vyavasthanam Ekendriya Sanjna. And when this understanding has become perfectly well, Indriya Pravartana Asamarthataya. But now the senses are no more going into these worldly objects. And therefore, Pakvanam Autsukya Matrena Manasi Vyavasthanam. However, the thoughts are still lingering in the mind about the worldly things. But they are no more able to disturb or compel one to go and indulge. So this is the Ekendriya Sanjna. So we are now slowly migrating. First we get lost in the objects, so we start controlling, begin. Yatamana. Second Vyatireka, in some cases we are successful, in some cases we are not, but slowly we will. The third thing, now we have gone beyond the objects and the sense organs, now we have come up to the Ekendriya, to the mind. So the likes and dislikes may be in the mind, but they are not coming out. Indriyasya indriyasyarthe ragadvesho vyavastito tayoho vasham na agached. This statement of the third chapter of Gita is this Ekendriya Sanjna, Vairagya, Apara Vairagya, and Vashikara Sanjna, and ultimately Ausukya Matrasyapi Nivrutti Rupa Sthiti Shu Esha Divyadivya Visheshu Upeksha Buddhihi Sanjna Yatrat Para Vashikara Sanjna Etaya Eva Charitarthatvat Nata Pruthak Ukta Iti Sarva Vad Adatam. Now, the last one is the Vashikara Sanjna. Means what? Autsukyam matrasya api nivrutti. Now there is not even little bit of temptation about anything in this world. That is the Vashikara. Like the other day, my guest was asking me, Swamiji, you don't eat fruits and sweets and all that. I said, I tell you the truth. Many times I feel hungry. And even if the fruits are in front of me or sweets are kept, it doesn't strike that by eating the fruits and the sweets the hunger can be satiated. That thought does not come even once about eating the sweets and the fruits. Now that particular condition is called as Apara Vairagya or the Vashikara Sanjna with reference to this. But when this happens to everything in the whole universe, then it is the Paripakva, then it is perfect. Therefore, not even a thought arises about the objective world. This is the Apara Vairagya. Hereafter, the next one is the Para Vairagya. We will take in our next class. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.